Okay, whenever you are ready.
All right, here we go. I'd like to call this meeting of the East Franklinton Review Board to order. We have swearing staff ahead of roll call, so I'm going to swear you in. Stephanie, state your name for record, please.
Stephanie Kensler, Planner, City of Columbus Planning Division.
And you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be true and accurate to the best of your knowledge and belief.
I do.
Good. Call roll, please.
Okay. Mr. Fergus,
Here.
Mr. Way,
Here.
Mr. Bush,
Here.
no Mr. Nobby, no Miss Benner, Mr. Sweeney,
Here.
and no Miss Hamilton. We do have a forum.
All righty. Everybody had an opportunity to look at the minutes from the last meeting. Any corrections or additions? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve?
Do I have a second?
Second.
Move to second to approve minutes. Call roll, please.
Is that a motion by Mr. Way?
Mr. Way.
Second by Mr. Sweeney?
Correct.
Okay. All right, Mr. Fergus,
Approve.
Mr. Way,
Approve.
Mr. Bush,
Abstain, since I wasn't here last one.
okay, and Mr. Sweeney.
Separate.
Motion carries.
Okay. Let's move on. Conceptual applications. We have one. It is EF 2212-001, 610 West Town Street. Brad Parrish is the applicant and Kirk Marker is the owner. Staff report, please.
All right, EF 2212-001, 610 West Town Street. The applicant is requesting conceptual review for a new mixed-use project located within the Dodge Park subdistrict. The proposal includes a new 5-story mixed-use building, 4 stories of multifamily residential, potentially 60 to 70 units. The final number is to be determined. Ground floor leasing amenity flex space, corner park patio space, partial demolition and adaptive reuse of the existing building on site, including a parking structure for covered parking, flex space along the west town frontage, outdoor amenity space on the rooftop of the existing building. This proposal also includes a surface parking lot accessed from West Chapel Street, 3 detached townhome units along West Chapel Street, and no modifications to development standards have been identified at this time. The submittal includes existing condition photos, conceptual site plan, floor plans, elevations, and perspectives. The proposed residential uses are consistent with the East Franklinton Creative Community District Plan. The applicant has not identified an exact use for the proposed flex space. The board should discuss potential retail commercial type uses with the applicant. While staff supports the concept of a mixed-use building, it notes that Dodge Park Subdistrict is the most restricted in East Franklinton regarding non-residential uses per City Code 3323.19. The board is unable to permit a prohibited use. The plan recommends a height limit of 3 stories or 35 feet and a density of 6 to 10 dwelling units an acre in the Dodge Park Subdistrict. The proposal is inconsistent with these recommendations. However, staff is supportive of the additional height and density at this location due to proximity to State Route 315, location on a primary corridor, as well as elements of the design that satisfy other plan development standards, including the preservation and adaptive reuse of the historic building, the upper story setback from West Town Street frontage, and the compatibility with the recently approved project at 640 West Town, as well as the townhome units that will fit in with the single-family home on the block and help fill in the Chapel Streetscape. The East Franklinton Creative Community District Plan also states that development proposed at higher densities than recommended should utilize an extraordinarily high level of design and material to provide compatibility with nearby architecture and employ solutions to mitigate impacts. Further, the plan notes that a wide range of architectural styles are appropriate for East Franklinton, with a preference for contemporary building design and materials. The plan also recommends buildings have a consistent level of detailing on all 4 sides, contribute to street activity through transparency, create eyes on the street, and pedestrian connectivity. Preservation of existing buildings is encouraged to the extent possible. Finally, the plan recommends the inclusion of street trees on all public streets. As such, staff recommends the following design modifications. Explore design solutions to create a dynamic massing, i.e. vertical elements, variation in materials, including transparency on the ground floor, additional balconies, changes in parapet height, etc. Employ best practices in preservation for the portions of the existing building being kept, including leaving the brick unpainted, maintaining original openings, and character-defining features. and then work with the city forester to include street trees as appropriate across the site. Staff is supportive of the proposed use and overall concept, but notes the additional information will be provided on the site plan, materials, landscaping, lighting, demolition, and any development standard modifications when the applicant returns for action. The end.
Congratulations. Any questions for staff? If not, applicant, will you state your names for the record, please?
Brad Parrish with Archall Architects.
Grant Donovan with Docker Development.
And you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be true and accurate to the best of your knowledge and belief.
I do.
Okay, floor is yours.
Gentlemen, thank you for joining us today on the holiday break here. We appreciate you coming out and talking through further conversation on this development. Based on the last conversation at our last meeting, we immediately had a meeting out on site with a restoration company on trying to identify and how to really restore that brick facade. Based on that conversation, I think we have a plan moving forward on how to restore that front elevation on Town Street, and really kind of wanted to propel the design a little bit further, knowing that that can stay. And really activate kind of the two elevations. We felt that based on our conversation, you had expressed some interest. First, activate the front town elevation. So that's where you see in the overall site plan, we sort of created this gallery flex space. So that really starts to activate the pedestrian walkway there. And then also we paid attention in greater detail this time on the east face with the big garage door, the big doors and all of that. And how does that interact in the overall, that elevation? How does that elevation, where we can keep the openings as they are and interact with building vertical elements? So you'll see in the site plan, we've have the stair, the egress stair, kind of utilizing the big double doors and that single door in the middle, and then where sort of bike storage could be on the door just south of that. So I think we heard your comments and we responded back to that. We also heard, by activating that front facade, it pushed the parking back further. And so we rotated the townhomes so that we could still meet the demands of the parking requirements of 68 spots for what would be 65 to 68 units on site, 1-for-1 right now. So you can see the townhomes have rotated. We did eliminate the driveways from the townhomes to Chapel, and so they would park on our site or use street parking at that time. Other changes that we've done, also since we've activated more of the front, we had to slide the parking to the west a little bit, and really just say that the lobby amenity area will be the further and west spot of this at the corner, and that the parking circulation starts to tend to work within that building footprint. Other things we heard last time was about the building's elevation and height, and how can we start. And we still haven't developed the mass. Obviously, we're not going. We wanted to inch us along in conversation. But we're starting to show that top floor on the east side step back so that you have 5 stories and then a 4-story, and it diminishes as the residential moves to the east. So these were I think these were the big bullet points from our last conversation, and we wanted to just revisit them before we dive into what this thing really looks like as the bigger addition to the existing conditions. So if you don't have, do you have anything else?
Yeah.
Good. Well, questions for the applicant? It's an open discussion. We're not making any decisions today.
Okay, so I'll go.
Fire, Kim.
So, just out of curiosity, why didn't you continue the 5th floor setback all the way?
On the east side.
Yeah.
So if you look on the site plan, it would have the stairwell is vertical there. I'll go to the 3rd floor. It might be helpful. So you would only get a portion of it that's kind of stepped back, because that would be a 5-story element that serves that top floor. And we did that so that we could integrate with the west or the east elevation, right? And really provide that, continuous all the way down.
So the setback, the rest of it, great move.
Okay.
I think that really helps with the whole height issue.
Okay,
And once it starts to mitigate it for me. I'm still not convinced on the west elevation of that mass, right? Because we're not seeing enough detail at this point to really understand it. I mean, if you're not going to do the step back there.
oh, you're
there's
saying
other-
there versus the east side.
What are they?
Yeah, on the west.
You want the west side.
You went the west.
Yeah, the west side.
Okay.
North to Mount Carmel.
It's the home.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I think what we were trying to do is respond to the development that next door. And
Yeah.
I think the conversation was as you go from west to east and you migrate more into the residential home, that's where the progression starts to
Yeah.
go back. So that's why we left it at the 5th floor, but
So I guess my comment is that I'm still looking for something there to make that look.
okay,
I mean, that's a pretty, again, it's the view from 315 and, it's arriving into town. And so, but I love the move you made on the east side.
Okay.
Okay.
Seems to me like we've got a lot of, I mean, we're looking at a box right now.
right.
Well, that's the state,
Yeah.
that's the state one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
And I'm saying the massing, I'm not convinced. I think the step back really helps. I think that's the right move. If you don't do the step back, what are you going to do to help mitigate that fifth floor?
A lot of that's gonna be in the architectural details of the 5th floor.
Of the addition.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay, so that's one thing. So the townhouse move in the back, great, got rid of the front garage doors. I was thinking that you were gonna just put garages on the back, but I obviously, because,
Then we block them in, we need
Yeah.
the parking spaces.
have you considered actually building over that parking? So you have basically a townhouse unit that is X square footage on the ground floor, and then second floor, it actually bridges over that parking, and so you pick up more square footage.
It's an option, but it's a cost right now, really just kind of betting the cost and then how the access points still would come through into the parking lot rather than driving straight out onto the street more likely, unless we get a curb cut, but.
And I think the intention all along that these are 3 separate parcels potentially could be, sold off on a certain point. So
I
I
don't
think
know.
wanted to try to keep them separate as much as possible.
I don't have a problem with it. I think the scale massing, you've hit the urban design issues that I would be concerned about. What happens on the other side? I was just saying, you can pick up some more square footage. So I think that was a great move. The exhibition space, obviously on the street, which was one of my things, I think, great, you addressed that. And then I had a question about the big door. You said that is that still going to be usable?
It can be operable. Again, for the egress for the stair, it'll be the man door,
Right.
but that bigger door we'll program. Yeah.
It looks like you have a little slot of space there where you could actually raise the door and you'd
Yeah.
basically expose.
The
the
intent,
stairs.
the intention is not to touch that on the exterior. It's
Yeah.
gonna look like that in the end.
So is there access? There has to be fire access. So is that a sidewalk that's basically?
There is a sidewalk.
There is a sidewalk there.
Basically, that's the edge of your property.
Yep.
Sidewalk, yeah, that's fine. That's all I have.
Okay.
Other than that, I think you absolutely addressed all of our concerns from the last time. I'm still that elevation that I keep using the direction. I still think that needs some work, but.
Understand.
And even if it was the setback just on the town street side and not wrap around the corner, I don't know if that gives you still enough space, but that to me would be another way to mitigate it, but,
Okay.
anyway, I think with the moves that you've made, I'm feeling better about the height. And again, gotta keep working on that massing.
Ellen?
I have a question. Brad, did you say that, did I hear you correctly, that these are on 3 separate parcels?
There's townhomes on the
The
back.
town.
Would be, it's all one parcel, but they could be developed as 3 separate parcels in the future.
Is split them out at that point?
Exactly.
Yeah, we're showing on our site plan the potential for smaller parcels, see how we divided them out, the red line.
Yeah, so they're each served separately by utilities, I suppose, up the alley there, off of Chapman.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, for parking, I think I asked this last time, it's 100%, you're not asking for any, you're not,
That's right.
that's all I get.
Really? Okay,
Cool.
Go ahead.
Just to drill in again on the corner, are you considering that there's balconies on these units?
Potentially,
When they're
not 100%.
Are they innies or
Left
outies?
view. They'll probably be innies.
No, any's.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so that upper floor could have.
could have some breaks similar to what we did on
See,
Broadway.
that would make me feel,
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard at this point, and I know.
Sure,
it's just that-
yeah, you're just looking at big box.
We just felt that there was enough issues the last time that we wanted to make sure that we were tackling those first before we got into the architecture of what this was.
I'm concerned that we're going to be doing this process. Well, if there's nothing further,
Cool.
thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Hope to see you again.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming out today.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you for coming that quick.
One, application for old business. It is EF 22-06004. Address is 638 Sullivan. Jeff Mormon of the Finance Fund is the owner, and Carrick Sherrill, Close Design LLC is the applicant. This is a previously approved application with conditions. Applicant has requested special approval to move forward with just the demolition portion of a previously approved project.
So I don't have a staff report for this one since it's old business and was previously approved. Remember, this project came through as separate. There was the Rich and Skidmore project, and then there was the Sullivan and Grubb project. We had them as two separate project numbers, so one wouldn't hold up the other. As a part of the Sullivan project, portion of the project, they have to demo the existing building on site. You all reviewed, approved that as a part of this conditional approval that they got. But as they move forward, trying to satisfy, it's my understanding, Kara could speak more to it, but it's my understanding that as they move forward, trying to satisfy those conditions, they have discovered that that building needs to come down so that they can do their site testing and things like that to officially finalize where the buildings are gonna go and some of those types of things. So they're requesting, that you pull the demo out separately from the previous approval they received so that they can go ahead and move forward with the demo without having satisfied the other conditions about lighting and landscaping. And there were a few more I can rattle off if you want to know exactly what the conditions were.
Okay.
I think if I may,
Swear in.
I'll swear you in,
Oh.
please. Yes.
Eric Sherrill, Columbus Design LLC, and
Yeah, and Eric, you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be true and accurate to the best of your knowledge and belief.
yes,
All right, now we can go.
okay. I think the other kind of mitigating factor is that this is a land bank parcel that will be transmitted. This is a City of Columbus land bank parcel that will be transmitted to the Franklin County Land Trust. I think that is, and then that in partnership with our client is the final parcels that will be used as part of the project. And so the ownership of the parcels is going through a few different versions of ownership before we get to the actual project that we're going to be constructing. But the delivery of the site will be less a building. And so, but we need to do all of our engineering and all of the things like that, as part of the whole project and get there and get all the financing completed, with those different, agencies and, investigation of the geotechnical, portions of the site under that building, as well as there are, additional environmental concerns that we need to investigate, that are part of that, potentially under that building. So that's kind of why we're here. It's a little bit of a catch-22. The city and the land bank can't deliver the project to us, sans building, without the investigation occurring And I know that the requirements of demolition in the city of Columbus requires a fully approved building, and we understand that, but we can't, I mean, sure, we could, put some stuff on paper and submit for permit but that would create more work than what's necessary for this, affordable housing project that we're trying to get through. So that's kind of some additional backstory for why we're here asking for the demolition to be separated, because it's a unique situation.
Stephanie, can I say that back to you just to make sure I understand it? So we require, in order to approve a demolition, that somebody have a complete project in hand, ready to build on that site, yes?
Not required. I mean, you could have someone just coming in to apply to demolish a building. The checklist for like the development standards for demolition would say, is a new use being proposed? But the answer could be no, and you could still approve the demo. What would normally happen, had we had the foresight that this demo needed to proceed before separately, I would have had this as a separate, the demo part as a separate application number all along. That way it wasn't held up by any of the conditions on the overall project. We did that with the Gravity 3 project. The demo was its own separate project number, so it could move forward, if approved. So, in this scenario, we would kind of we'd be doing the same thing, but doing it backwards. We'd have to go back and motion to pull it out and then take action on that motion to approve the demo.
Can I ask everybody, is this typical, or is this, so that sounds like you're saying, Carrie, is that you can't complete your environmental analysis while the building is still there. So it needs to be removed and find out if you in fact could build a building there.
I think, I mean, if I feel you asking your other board members, I'm gonna interject. If it was a private development, I think the risk would fall on the shoulders of private development, and the due diligence would move forward as best as possible without taking down that building. But because it's kind of a public-private partnership type of project where the land gets delivered without the building to my client, that's what's kind of creating this unique situation. I think if this was a completely private market rate project, I think the situation would be different.
If you had to do testing with the building there, you'd be like borrowing down through concrete, whatever, foundations and stuff like that. I don't think any private developer would do that. They just tear the building down.
But it must come up all the time.
Yeah. But this is because of the.
That was the private partner, but it's supposed to evaluating a site that has a building, I would imagine that's a cost for any definition.
I think it's the ownership. It's the passage of ownership.
It's part of the issue is the passage of ownership as well.
And it may have, I'm assuming, just what I know about affordable housing developments, that they may have more strict environmental, testing that needs to be done on the site in advance of funding it, as opposed to if someone private who's just saying, I'm going to build here.
And the testing is so much easier without the building there, right?
Yeah, for sure. I was just wondering if we've run into this before and if we're going to keep running into it. It sounds strange to me, but I understand the nuances here. It's a publicly owned building basically, and with two levels of public entities having a hand in it, and then you're selling it for affordable housing to a nonprofit. It's a lot of complications.
And it would be our staff's preference that, we be for sure that this project is going forward before we would encourage, separating the demo out, because then if it doesn't, then we just have another vacant lot, which isn't great. I guess we could never 100% assure that, based on just life, but we did do our due diligence and call John Turner Land Bank to see it seems to be everyone's intention that this is moving forward. Barring something crazy unforeseen,
So in the very worst case, which seems to be an unlikely scenario, this project generally goes south, and we'd have a vacant lot where a not particularly attractive building used to be.
Exactly. Which would be an easier lot to do something with it, less the contamination or whatever they find is so bad that nobody would.
Exactly.
And they'll make it to a park.
On that site, that building. Where your children play.
I mean, and the reality is if the project were not to move forward, it remains a city of Columbus property
Right.
to do, to make it green space until or a community garden until a point where it is developable. Or, a building is, whatever, the market changes to make it affordable to build, so, but yes, my understanding is, the handshake agreements and all the things for the transfer, and how to fund the project has all been agreed through, finance fund, the land bank, the land trust, all of those things, and now it's just a matter of, okay, we need to know what's under this to make the final nuances of where the buildings are gonna sit and how we're gonna take care of the stormwater and how much dirt we have to dig out and send to the Ohio soil recycling because it's dirty and it's dirty dirt.
Well,
So,
a private developer could just cap it too and not have to, wouldn't do that, but I'm assuming because of what it is and the financing on it has to be. done properly.
there's
There's a way
definitely,
to do, right.
sure, there's definitely some of that. There's,
Requirements.
voluntary action plans that are required when there's funding like this involved.
And Jim, too, the board in the past has been very scrutinizing in terms of demolition unless there is a plan. We just don't carte blanche say, oh yeah, just tear it down.
Well, for sure.
Unless there's some,
I can
so,
only think of one thing that was demolished that didn't have a plan. It was that
Yeah.
old church. That was probably the most controversial thing that could come before this board, the time the two of us been on it.
yeah.
That didn't have a plan? Thought it did.
Yeah, the
Well,
Then, oh,
gray, it's a gray, a kind of a gray block building, really old one.
I remember.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a-
No, it had a plan.
Homeport came,
You're not talking
Yeah.
about Dallas, you're not talking about the.
it's the Homeport site.
Is
Yeah.
Homeport building there
I
now?
had that one. Homeport.
Yes,
Yeah.
that building is under construction.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I have to be,
I
I
gotta
have
take a
to
tour.
record for that too.
Yeah.
Yes, and that was, because of very similar situation, there was a extended delay in the financing and construction of that project because, again, it was a city-owned building and, the city had to demolish the building as part of the transfer of a parcel, sans building, to Homeport. And so there was, it's kind of the same, a bit of maneuver.
Except that was a church and this is just a,
Yes, that was a church and, it was.
At least some historic-
with some historical
significance.
Sure.
But we got the,
Yes.
All right, have we talked this one out?
yes.
Okay, so entertain a motion.
So I would say we need to, this gets a little wonky, so we would do a motion to pull the demolition out separately, vote on that, and then vote to approve that
So
motion.
we have two motions going here. All right, let's take that first one. I move that the demolition be separated from the balance of the application. Have a second?
Second,
All right,
Um,
roll please.
Mr. Fergus,
Approved.
Mr. Way,
approve,
Mr. Bush,
approve,
and Mr. Sweeney.
Approved.
Motion carries.
And another one is to approve the application for demolition as submitted. So moved.
Second.
Mr. Fergus,
Approved.
Mr. Way,
approve.
Mr. Bush,
Approved.
Mr. Sweeney.
Approved.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your holiday season.
Our this next meeting is January 25, 3 o'clock, right here. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you.